Welcome to today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of today's Homeowner magazine and professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
Now this is a typical American neighborhood. It's about 25 years old. All the houses are in great shape and the overall value of the neighborhood has held up real well. Now homeowners in this neighborhood are prime candidates to have their houses remodeled because most of them need a little updating or a little extra room, such as a new master bedroom or remodeling the kitchen or the bath. Well, we're doing all of those projects and a lot more work to the project that we're starting this week. You know, here on today's Homeowner, we like to focus on the realistic projects that you can really relate to around your house, show you some of the things you need to consider before you start a remodeling project and some of the pitfalls you need to avoid. We've got a lot to show you along those lines here on today's Homeowner, so stay with us. You know, one of the more common phrases I hear from homeowners when we're out on the job is, while you're here, can you take care of some of the small repairs I have around the house? This is a good example with a water damaged column that'll have to be replaced. These kind of things end up on our while you're here list quite a bit. Now it's a good idea to make a list like this early and get it to the contractor or the remodeler early in the project so that he can plan it in his regular job schedule. That makes it a lot more efficient to take care of that project, which means it'll cost you a lot less. Now, most of the work that's taking place on this remodeling project is taking place on the rear of the house, including the addition of a master bedroom, also an enlargement of an existing breakfast room and great room. Inside, we're remodeling the bathrooms and a very impressive kitchen. Front of the house will change very little other than a new column here and there, and we'll replace all of the existing windows with a much more energy efficient unit that'll go in a little bit later. Also, the homeowners wanted to get a little more natural light into the foyer, so we're replacing these two solid doors with a single unit in the middle with two side lights on either side, with the side lights having glass and the upper part of the entry door having glass to really pour some good light and make that foyer feel a lot more spacious. But to give you a better orientation of what's taking place on the overall project, let's look at the plans. Well, things are moving along great on the inside of the remodeling project, and this is right dead center of the entire house. Now let me show you on this existing plan, give you a little bit of an orientation of where we are and what's taking place here. Now basically we're right in the center of the house, just about here. Now this is the living room, and one of the additions that are being built will enlarge this by 8 feet, and this will continue all the way over to also enlarge this area, which is the kitchen. Now first of all, this will be completely taken out, this wall extended out to create this larger great room. Also, to make it look even larger, we're putting in a recessed or bump up ceiling that'll go up about 12 inches, and of course then having the ceiling fan in the middle, recessed lights, that type of thing. Then over in the kitchen and breakfast area, this wall will be removed, and this that was originally a little walk-in utility room, that wall will be removed as well. This will make for a very nice size kitchen that'll allow a little wraparound bar, this kind of thing. And then this will be a good breakfast area here. Now the breakfast area itself and the kitchen area, once it's remodeled, will create a very nice space for the family to eat their meals and also to enjoy some of the natural light that'll be coming in from all of the windows on the rear of the house. Now one of the other additions that's being built will make for a very large master bedroom. Now this hall that leads to the master bedroom addition is one of the few areas in the house that's not being disturbed. Now this is an area where a lot of things are changing and a lot of things are being disturbed because we're converting this master bedroom into a master bathroom. Now it started with us building a wall through the middle of the bedroom to create a good access to the new master bedroom. Now this area that's being converted is plenty of room for a master bathroom, but not quite enough room for a master bedroom. The original bedroom was very small, had inadequate closets, and also just really didn't have enough wall space for furniture, which can be quite a problem in a bedroom. Now to take a look at the finished plans, before we looked at the existing plans, and this shows you how we're building the new master bedroom right off the back of the house. And this is the area that we're in now. And this is the new wall that I had mentioned to create the access into this new master bedroom. And of course the bathroom itself with the toilet, the whirlpool, and a very large shower next to it, and 2 separate vanity areas and plenty of floor space, which is very important in the design of a nice modern master bathroom. Now, of course, it leads right in through the hallway here into the new addition. This is the original back wall, and while we have this wall open and before the drywall's installed, we'll be installing some sound bats to really give some good soundproofing in there. Master bedrooms, plenty of room, plenty of width, plenty of windows, and we've got plenty of height in the ceiling by raising the ceiling up, much like we did in the great room. Now, when we come back from this simple solution segment and a short break, we'll take a look at the outside of these additions.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and home repair pro Alan Lyle show you this week's simple solution.
Well, I'm helping Alan put together a gate that we'll be installing in the fence section that you see behind us. But anytime you build a gate, it needs to be good and strong, and those corner joints are real important. Alan, tell us how you can solve that problem.
Well, what I'm doing is making an interlocking joint. You may know it as a lap joint. It just makes for a sturdier frame. What we're going to do is, first of all, I've measured back the exact width of this particular board, and we're going to cut this out, but only half of the depth. What that means is that we've set our saw blade, if you can see this, so that it will cut out only half of the depth of this wood. Now, what's very important is that first cut. You want it square, you want it straight, so I'm going to use my speed square to hold the edge of the saw right in place, make my mark, and go ahead and cut. Now that you've made your first cut, you're going to make a series of cuts moving outward toward the end of the board, basically letting the power saw do most of the work for you. Now we're ready for the chisel.
Now, sharp chisel in a situation like this is very important. Makes the job a lot easier. Also, you will want to clamp the board down or get a helper to really hold it while the chiseling's taking place. Now, Alan will take out the bulk of the wood initially, then he'll come back and really smooth out the half lap with the chisel itself.
Okay, just about ready. I got a couple more burrs on here. That's what's good about that chisel, Danny.
Want to try the top piece of the gate?
Yeah, that's ready now. Okay.
See how that goes together.
Let's check it out. Oh, that's looking pretty there.
Now, we'll use some fasteners here, some galvanized screws, and also it's a good idea to put some exterior wood glue on it to get the good strength that you need. Now, the rear of the house is where the majority of the work is taking place. You know, anytime you have the framing crew out on the job, a lot of progress can be seen in a short amount of time. Now, before we started any of this work on this project, there's a good bit of work that had to be done on the job site. We had to remove many trees and bring a backhoe in to take out a lot of the stumps in areas like this where we were pouring slabs. Now, this was a very plain looking ranch style house, and right in the center of the house it had a patio cover with a flat roof that was very unattractive. Now, we had to remove the patio cover, all of the trees, as well as we saved all of the bricks that we could from the walls that were common with the addition. Now, these bricks were clean and stacked in an area off to the side of the lot so that they could be used later in the project. Now, this will really ensure that we get a good blend on the exterior of the house, but also it makes good economic sense because these bricks can cost as much as 45 cents a piece. Now, all of the work we're doing here is going to make this house much more comfortable for the homeowners, but also it'll make it a lot more attractive. Let me show you the elevation drawing here on the rear of the house, and you can see the addition that we're building for the breakfast room, kitchen expansion that we mentioned earlier, and then this is the great room area that we're expanding, and this is a new porch that's a lot more attractive than the previous porch. All of this will be the salvage bricks that we mentioned, other than just a small area in the gable where we'll be installing stucco, which will give a good little accent to kind of break up all of the brickwork in the back. And over on this side is the master bedroom that we talked about. Now, tying all of these addition roofs into the existing roof is a real important part of this overall project. You know, we were very fortunate with this roof tie-in in that the existing shingles were only about a year old, so they were very pliable and easy for the framers to tuck their building felt under the shingles at the valley areas. Now, once the framers are able to get all of their fascia board on the end of the rafters here, the roofers will be back to install the eave strip and the valley metal in the valleys. Then they'll install the new shingles, and it'll be real hard to tell the old from the new. Now, the way that these additions were built makes for a nice courtyard area. Now, once this area is graded to allow the water to run away from here, will really make for a nice courtyard. The homeowners are thinking about putting some brick pavers out here, which will be a good surface for them to come out of the master bedroom or out on the covered patio into this area. Also, maybe some landscaping back here in the back will add a little bit of color, kind of warm the area up a little bit. Now, we'll have a double door here on the bedroom, actually have one fixed unit, and the other door will swing back against it, which would be a great place for us to put a screen door to get a little fresh air in and out of the bedroom. Anytime you may be designing a master bedroom like this, keep that in mind. Try to provide access to the outside, maybe to a wood deck or a courtyard like we have here. Now, you may notice some of the straw or hay that we have spread around here. Now, we put this down on all of this fresh dirt that we have right after we poured our concrete slabs. This helps to keep the job a lot neater and also prevent any erosion or any problem with water getting in around any of the foundations. Also, you may notice we put a 6mm plastic down over the fresh patio slab that we poured to protect that surface, because it can get stained very easily when you have this much red clay that you're working with. Now, stay with us. Next is a very interesting best new product.
It's time to check out the Home Center for this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine's Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring.
You know, one of the things I like about going to the Home Center is you're able to find these neat electrical gadgets that are always on display in the electrical department. Now, this switch was selected as one of the best new products. Tell us why, Paul.
Well, this is a programmable 7-day digital switch from Intermatic. And what it does is replace a regular wall switch, and then it allows you to program for your daily routine or for security everything attached to that circuit.
Well, I know it's real versatile on the programming. Tell us more about that.
I sure will. It allows you 6 on and off settings, which you can time, and then you can have those repeated on a daily basis. You can do those on a weekly basis or on the weekend, depending on what schedule you're on. There's another feature you'll like too there for security. You can put it on a random setting, and that setting turns the lights off and on, not on a routine, so that somebody watching the house will be convinced someone's home.
Now, I understand also it'll control a lot more than just lights.
Yes, it will. It's anything under 15 amps. Really, it's motors, air conditioners, whether it's fluorescent, incandescent. It's really very versatile.
Okay, now some people like programming, some people want just an on and off switch. How do you handle that?
Well, it's a matter of just putting that cover right back on there where it belongs so that nobody's messing with the programming, and pushing right in the middle of that is just a regular on and off switch, returning it to the same place it was before you attach this.
I can see why you chose it as one of your best new products. You know, the new porch will look much better than the older porch we removed earlier in the job. Now, over the last few hours, the carpenters have been able to get a lot of things taken care of, including the installation of the new doors going on the rear of the great room. Now, these are wooden doors with insulated tempered glass, and the painters will be out in just a day or two to go ahead and apply 1 coat of oil primer to all of this raw wood to minimize any of the swelling that can take place with wooden doors. You know, one of the things the homeowners wanted to accomplish with this remodeling is a larger area, den area such as this, and we've made it more or less into a great room by adding approximately 8 feet. Now, you can see that the concrete finisher did a real good job in blending in the old and the new here. This is real important anytime you have a tie-in of an addition to work this out well. And also, you can see the little void here that was under the existing, the original exterior wall. Now, when the hardwood installers come in later in the project to install the hardwood floor, they'll put some floor patch compound in that, a little bit of sanding, make for a real good transition. Now, another thing the homeowners wanted to accomplish in this is not only a larger area square footage wise, but also cubic foot wise, and you can see how we've created a bump up or pocket ceiling by installing a series of beams such as the 2x12 beams you see here on the perimeter. Now, this is what we call a sandwich beam, where we've taken two good 2x12s, good and straight, and sandwiched between them is a piece of 1/2 inch CDX plywood. Now, this was fabricated out in the yard on some sawhorses using some good construction adhesive and plenty of nails. Now, to tie the ceiling joist to the beam, we're using what we call a joist hanger. Now, this is a piece of metal that stamped together here and has several holes drilled in it and provides a saddle effect for any of the ceiling joists that tie to the beams. You can see this is a smaller one for the 2x6s we're using here that have been nailed in. This is a great way to do it. Allows us to hang the drywall right below it. Now, another beam you may notice is a larger beam called an LVL beam. This is a laminated veneer lumber beam, which is a pre-engineered beam and perfect for use as we're using it here with a span almost 19 feet. In the kitchen, we've used this LVL in a little different way. As I mentioned earlier in the show, the homeowners also wanted to expand their existing kitchen to create a nice breakfast area. We've done that by adding 8 foot into this part of the house as well. But by removing this outside wall, created a need for some real support up above us here, and we've accomplished that with 2 of the LVL beams nailed side by side. Now, this is supporting not only the roof, but also the ceiling joists that tie into it. Now, because of this being a roof truss system as it is, it's very important that you take your time and proceed with a lot of caution when you're cutting a roof truss system. An engineer or a good contractor is a necessity anytime you're dealing with something like this. Now, you know, many times homeowners will live in a house as these have and have decided on things they really didn't like in the original design. I've got a good example of that. Now, the original layout of the front part of the house had a combination foyer, living room, and dining room. And what was real popular a few years ago is to have a sunken living room. Now, this area was recessed about 6 to 8 inches, but it presented a couple different problems for the homeowners. One, they wanted to expand the use of their dining room, but couldn't because of the recess prevented any furniture from being moved in this direction. Also, guests arriving many times could not see that step down and presented an obvious safety hazard. Basically, all we did is to fill this recess in with concrete after putting down a vapor barrier and some reinforcement wire.
Now for a bit of news from the great outdoors as Danny takes a look around the yard.
Most perennials, like these daylilies, need dividing about every 3 to 5 years. Now, this process of lifting, tearing apart, and cutting the clumps actually rejuvenates the plants and allows you to divide it and plant it elsewhere in the yard or give it away to a neighbor. Now, some signs that plants need dividing include crowding, reduced flowering, or patchy clumps with bare centers. To divide these plants, use a spade or garden fork to dig around the entire plant and lift it out of the soil. Now, don't worry if you cut a few of the roots, they'll grow back. Next, brush or wash soil from the roots, then cut the clumps into sections with a small knife or shovel, or just simply pry them apart. Now, perennials that form diffuse clumps of leafy stems, such as coral bells, may be pulled apart by hand. Next, replant the strong young sections with roots in well-prepared soil. Also remember, water them in real well and for several days afterwards. Well, we've gotten a great start on this remodeling project and been able to show you a lot in this week's show. Now, the framers are moving along real well and producing a lot of debris in the tear out. Actually, we'll fill up at least 3 dumpsters of this size through the course of the job. Now, I hope you'll join us next week as we take a look at some of the mechanical systems, electrical, plumbing, and air conditioning, as well as several other challenges we have on this large remodeling project. We'll see you next week.